Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anil Gupta from University of Jammu. Today we are going to talk on the module Concept of Strategy from paper Strategic Management. At the end of this module, you will be able to understand the concept of strategy and the related concepts. We'll also explain you the evolution of strategy and what are the various levels at which the strategy can be formulated. We'll also discuss what are the various schools of thought on strategy formulation, as well as understand strategic management, its benefits and limitations. Okay students, let us first understand what is this concept of strategy. In fact, the word strategy comes from a Greek word strategos, which refers to generalship. The entire concept of strategy basically comes from the military, and therefore it has its relevance in the business as well. The key objective of both business strategy is to secure competitive advantage over rivals. In fact, a strategy is the means to end, and these ends concern the purpose and objective of the organization. Strategy relates to developing the long-term scope of an organization in such a way so as to deliver competitive advantage to the organization. For students, there is always a confusion that the word strategy is similar to the word policy and tactics. However, all these terms are distinct from each other. When we talk of policy, policy is nothing but a prescribed guidelines for governing action of an organization with respect to given objectives. Policy, in fact, is a broader concept in the form of guidelines or principles, while strategy is more specific as it relates to particular situation, objective or target. The policy in an organization, the policy comes first, and strategies are considered as elements of policy. When we contrast the word strategy, policy with tactics, tactic is specific activities which deliver and implement the strategies in order to fulfill the objectives. From an overall strategy, a number of sub-strategies follow, which are referred to as tactics. Let us see the difference between strategy and tactic. In fact, both these terms can be distinguished based on the 5 major factors. Number 1, significance. Strategies have more significance or a greater consequence for organization as compared to tactics. Tactics may possibly affect only one specific function or one specific supplier or one specific action of an organization. Number 2, these two things can be distinguished at the level of formulation or conduct. Strategies are generally formulated at the top management level, whereas tactics can be employed by even middle level or lower level of managers. The third factor on which the terms can be distinguished is the information base. As strategies have more significant impact on the organization, formulation of strategies require lot more information as compared to the tactical decisions. The fourth parameter on which these two terms can be distinguished is on objectivity and subjectivity. Strategies are generally framed by teams and not by individual managers, whereas tactics, being more subjective, are sometimes left to the discretion of individual managers. And the fifth parameter on which these two terms can be distinguished is the time horizon. Strategies are generally long term and changes are not made frequently, whereas tactics, on the other hand, can change frequently, not of long term duration. Let us now look at the evolution of strategy as a concept. There are various definitions given by leading thinkers on this subject, and we will look into these definitions which are considered important in the discipline of strategic management. Way back in 1962, Alfred D. Chandler defined strategy as the determination of the basic long-term goals and objectives of an enterprise and the adoption of the courses of action and the allocation of resources necessary for carrying out these goals. In 1965, Kenneth Andrews defined strategy as the pattern of objectives, purpose, goals, and the major policies and plans for achieving these goals, stated in such a way so as to define what the business the company is in, or is to be and the kind of company it is or is to be. Subsequently, another thinker, Igor Ansoff, explained strategy as the common thread among the organization's activities and product markets that define the essential nature of business that the organization was or planned to be in future. In 1972, William Glueck defined strategy as a unified, comprehensive, and integrated plan designed to assure that the basic objectives of the enterprise are achieved. In 1984, again, Igor Ansoff defined strategy as a set of decision-making rules for the guidance of organizational behavior. As the organization and the context changed, so new definitions emerged. In 1987, one of the very leading thinkers in strategic management, Henry Mintzberg, defined strategy as a pattern in a stream of decisions and actions. In 1996, Michael Porter from Harvard Business School defined strategy as developing and communicating the company's unique position, making trade-offs, and forging fit among the activities. Now the students understand that the strategy can be at various levels. Organizations, they start from one particular business and then they grow to a multi-business empire. There are various organizations which operate not only in one particular region or one particular country, but are multinational corporations operating in multiple businesses. Therefore, this entire concept of strategy can become very complex. The strategies can be operated at different levels. Companies, generally what they do, they create operating divisions. They're also referred to as independent profit centers, and more technically they are referred to as SBUs, where SBUs stand for a strategic business unit. As defined by Chaplin, the strategic business unit is any part of a business organization which is treated separately for strategic management purpose. For example, consider Tata Group. Now the Tata Group is into multiple businesses. They are into automobile sector, they are into chemical business, they are into telecommunication business. Each business in itself is referred to as a strategic business unit for the entire group. Now the different level of strategies are at the corporate level. You can have them at the strategic business unit level and at the functional level. Now for example, when we talk of the corporate level strategy, this basically refers to the overall action plan including all the functions executed by different SBUs relating to the objectives, resource allocation and coordination of the SBUs. Generally what firms or corporates do, they create a centralized corporate office that takes care of the corporate level strategy, that ensures that each strategic business unit receives proper resources so that they can implement the strategies effectively, and that each business unit contributes to the overall profit of the organization. When we talk of the SBU level strategy, this is basically a complete plan relating to the objectives of a particular SBU. Further, within each SBU, resources are to be allocated to various functional divisions. Say for example, resources are required by the marketing department, their human resource department, their finance department and so on. And also to coordinate all these activities so as to achieve the corporate level objectives. Students, it's important to understand that each SBU will have its own strategy. However, all these strategies should converge towards the corporate level strategy so that the corporate level objectives are achieved. Further, at the third level, we can say there is a third level which is called as the functional level strategy. Now, when we talk of functional level strategy, it basically means defining objectives of one specific function, allocating resources among different operations within a particular function, and coordinating between them in order to achieve the SBU and corporate level objectives. For example, if in a particular group, say for example we were talking of the Tata Group in the automobile SBU could define the marketing objective for different brands. Once the marketing objective for different brands are identified, the firm will decide that what resources are required for the promotion of each of these brands. And also they will also allocate to other functions like human resource management and so on. However, the coordination among all the function level strategies should help the firm to achieve the SPU level objective and finally the corporate level objectives. The subject of strategic management is evolving. There are various aspects of the concept which have emerged in the past and which are emerging now, leading to divergence and convergence of views. One of the leading thinkers of the subject, Henry Mintzberg, and his associates converged this entire subject and proposed 10 schools of thought on strategy formulation. The schools of thoughts are classified in three groups. First is the prescriptive school, second is the descriptive school, and third is the integrative school. In the prescriptive school, there are three schools of thoughts. In the descriptive school, there are six schools of thoughts. And finally, in the integrative school, there is one school of thought. Okay, students, let us look at the first is the prescriptive school. Within the prescriptive school, there are three different schools of thought that have been proposed. First is the design school, second is the planning school, and third is the positioning school. The design school was developed somewhere in 50s and 60s, and one of the proponents of this school was Andrews, who in 1965 perceived strategy formation as a process of conception. This school of thought looks strategy as a unique plan, wherein the person on the top, that is Chief Executive Officer, creates and leads the strategy formulation process, which is simple and informal, based on judgment and thinking. The second school, the planning school, was developed somewhere in late 60s, and one of the leading proponent of this school was Ansoff, who in 1965 contributed to the school and explained strategy formation as a formal process. He said that strategy is divided into smaller sub-strategies and programs, and the lead role in the strategy is played by the planners. And he said that the process of strategy formulation is more formal and is a deliberate activity within an organization. The third school, the positioning school, was developed in late 70s and 80s, wherein Michael Porter was considered to be an important proponent in forming the positioning school. They consider strategy as an organization's planned generic position, chosen by analyzing competition and the industry in which the organization operates. The strategy formation is done by analysts, and it is more analytical, systematic, and deliberate. Now let us look into the descriptive school, wherein there are six different schools of thoughts, which include the entrepreneurial school, the cognitive school, the learning school, the power school, the cultural school, and the environmental school. Let us look into the details of each of the schools. The first school, the entrepreneurial school, was developed with the contribution of Schumpeter and Cole. The proponents of this school consider that the strategy formulation is a visionary process. They view that strategy is a result of personal and unique perspective, often aimed at creation of a niche. The strategies are formulated by the leader or the entrepreneur, and the process of strategy formulation is more far-sighted, instinctive, and largely deliberative. The next school, which is the cognitive school, regarded strategy as an individual concept, a result of a mental perspective. The strategy formulation is done by a thinker philosopher. Simon, March, they are the contributors of the school, and they regard that strategy formulation is more of a mental and an emergent process. The next school, the learning school, emerged from 1950s through 1990s. And this school also views strategies as an emergent process. They see that strategy is a unique pattern, and the process of strategy formulation is new, informal, and unorganized. During 1970s and 80s, the power school emerged, which regard strategy as a negotiation process. They view it as a political and a cooperative process. According to this school, the strategy formation can be chaotic. It may lead to conflict, it may lead to aggression, and there can be lack of cooperation during the process of strategy formulation. The another school that contributes to the strategic thought is the cultural school. According to this school, strategy formulation is a collective process. They say that the people in the organization have to come together And the process of strategy formulation is more ideological, constrained, collective, and deliberate. The last school in this is the environmental school. According to this environmental school, the process of strategy formulation is more reactive. The schools regard strategy as something more generic, and the strategy formulation is passive, imposed, emergent, and environment plays a critical role in the strategy formulation. Let us look at the last school, which is the configuration school. Major contributors to the school include Chandler, Mintzberg and Miller, Miles and Snow. They view that strategy is a transformation process that matches any process discussed under the 9 school of thoughts. They say that strategy formulation is more integrative and sequential. And strategic management basically focuses on solving the problem in the environment and giving a direction to the organization. Strategic decision making is done through the process of strategic management, which has been defined by different authors. There are various definitions that give a complete overview of the concept. First, let us look at what W.F. Glueck said while defining it. According to Glueck, strategic management is that set of decisions and actions which lead to the development of an effective strategy or strategies to help achieve corporate objectives. Subsequently, Pierce and Robinson define strategic management as primarily concerned with relating the organization to its environment, formulating strategies to adapt to that environment, and assuming that implementation of strategies takes place. In fact, all the management functions can be classified under 2 categories: strategic and operational. Strategic functions are performed more at the senior and top management level, whereas operational functions are performed more by the middle and lower management level. There are various benefits of strategic management which can allow organization to shape their own destinies by becoming more proactive rather than being reactive. One of the key focus of strategic management is on getting an understanding of and commitment from all managers and employees. Understanding is probably one of the most important benefits of strategic management, followed by commitment. The benefits of strategic management can be classified under 2 broad categories: financial benefit and non-financial benefit. There is enough research evidence which proves that the successful organizations and the profitable organizations give a lot of importance to strategic management. There is systematic planning that prepares an organization for uncertain future, and generally it shows a better financial performance as compared to the competitors within that industry. The reason for this is that informed decisions are always better than uninformed decisions, leading to better consequences in the long run. Generally stated that the benefits of strategic management can include following. It permits organization to identify, prioritize, and exploit opportunities. The process of strategic management gives an unbiased and real picture of the management problems. It provides guidelines to stimulate coordination and control of activities. It helps to reduce the impact of adverse conditions and changes in the business environment. Strategic management helps in taking good decisions to support the established objectives and allows effective allocation of time and resources to the identified opportunities. Strategic management also helps in reducing the wastage of resources and time. Strategic management also encourages internal communication. That is, the employees within the organization tend to interact more whenever the strategic management process is in place. It helps to integrate the behavior of individuals into a total combined and synergistic effect. Strategic management defines clear individual responsibilities that help to put accountability of people into place. Strategic management promotes forward thinking that helps organizations to become more proactive and rather than being reactive. There is evidence which proves that strategic management provides a cooperative and integrated approach to deal with problems and opportunities. Another benefit of strategic management is that it stimulates a favorable attitude towards change, thereby minimizing the resistance towards the change. And finally, strategic management creates a discipline in the management of business. We have discussed that there are financial benefits of strategic management. However, there are non-financial benefits as well. Some of the non-financial benefits of strategic management include: number one, it helps in creating awareness of external threats, which is very important. A firm can plan in advance towards this threat so that it can protect its interest for not only its shareholders but overall stakeholders. Strategic management is an effective tool to understand what the competitors are doing. So once you have the understanding of competitor strategy, the firm can plan its resources and strategies in order to not only beat the competition but move ahead of competition. Strategic management has shown tremendous results in terms of improving the employee productivity. They know that what they intend to achieve, their entire efforts can be converged so that the benefit are reaped in terms of the higher productivity of the employees. Strategic management helps to reduce the resistance towards change. Organizations just can't work in a constant manner. Since the external environment is changing continuously, employees need to proactively respond to these changes, and to overcome the resistance to change, strategic management plays a very, very critical role. Strategic management helps to clearly understand the performance and reward relationship. Unless and until firms perform, teams perform, employees perform, firms cannot grow. So there has to be a direct link between the performance and the reward that goes to each of the employee of the organization. Another benefit which strategic management offers is it promotes interaction among various managers. Managers come together to understand what are the requirements of the firm in order to achieve the sustainable advantage. Strategic management encourages order and discipline within the organization. The entire firm, the entire organization know that what is that they are trying to achieve. So there is no confusion, no ambiguity, and therefore it encourages order and discipline in terms of achieving the objective. Strategic management has shown results that it creates efficient and effective managerial system. Both efficiency and effectiveness, as you know, is very, very critical to optimally utilize the resources. So therefore, strategic management has shown tremendous results in improving the efficiency and the effectiveness of the organization. Strategic management also establishes confidence in the current business strategy, which is definitely help in increasing the profitability of the firm. Strategic management highlights the need for corrective measures. So a constant check is there that wherever the firm goes wrong and the results are not as per the desire, strategic management processes help to highlight the need for corrective measures. It also provides the basis for identifying and rationalizing the need for change, subsequently helping the employees to view the change as an opportunity rather than the hurdle. Though there are a number of benefits of strategic management, yet there are some of the limitations which as a student of strategic management you should be aware. Number one, companies have to act on incomplete information or database, as the complete information is generally not easily available. Strategic planning or management at times reduces flexibility and individual initiatives, which can be risky whenever the external environment changes. There can be problems in implementation arising out of internal conflict, lack of coordination, lack of support from the top management. Further, the planning and the executive team may not get adequate appreciation or reward from the top management when their strategies succeed. But in case of failure, the top management may not accept the situation and blame the people at the middle or the lower level, which can generally lead to employee dissatisfaction. In addition to the limitations, there are generally some mistakes which are committed by managers and companies while approaching strategic management or planning. These pitfalls or mistakes are: first, undertaking the strategic planning only to satisfy company policy or regulatory requirements laid down. In other words, the strategic management process is not taken as a spirit of the organization. Rather, it is been taken as a compulsion which does not yield suitable results. At times, strategic management is used to get control over decisions and resources rather than facilitating decisions for the benefit of the organization. It has also been observed that top managers not actively supporting the strategic planning process, which results in multiple views that generally is not in the interest of the organization. On the other hand, it has also been observed that top managers taking independent decisions which conflict with the strategic planning process. One has also observed that organizations wherever the communication within the internal team is weak fail to inform the plan to the employees. Proper delegation is not done, or the planning is delegated to some third party or planner rather than including the concerned manager, wherein the right kind of inputs are not provided for the development of the strategic plans. In addition to the above mentioned mistakes, there are more mistakes which are possible. For example, some of the organizations may not involve the key managers or employees in the different stages of process. Strategic planning is no more a top-down approach, rather it has become a bottom-up approach which propagates that everybody in the organization should have some say in the strategic planning process. Organizations may fail to make use of the plan as a standard for measuring performance, which ultimately results the strategic planning simply as a joke. It is some of the organizations even view planning to be unnecessary or an unimportant exercise, therefore not giving too much emphasis into the strategic management. Organizations even fail to generate a conducive climate in which the organization may support the change. At times, your existing problems may be so severe that the entire organization can get engrossed into those problems, thereby neglecting or paying insufficient attention to the strategic management process. Since strategic management is very formal, or the organizations could make it more formal by completely overlooking into the flexibility and the creative aspect of the strategic management process, thereby leading to more gaps in the long run. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. As we have discussed, a strategy is a means to end for an organization. It is a plan or course of action. It is related to the organization activities which are drawn from policies, objectives, and goals. Strategy is mostly about long-term actions modeled by overall purpose and mission of the organization. Strategy should lead to competitive advantage and help win market battles against competition. It must be backed by resources and skill sets. Operations or tactics must align with the strategy, and we have discussed that strategy is different from policy and tactics. Strategy must adapt to environmental influences and help to deliver on various expectations. We also discussed that the evolution of strategy as a concept and what are the author's view on strategy. We also discussed that strategy operates at different levels of an organization, starting from corporate level, SPU level, and the function level. We also discussed that there are various schools of thought as given by Mintzberg, which are classified under three groups: the prescriptive school, the descriptive school, and the integrative school. And finally, strategic management is an art as well as a science of formulating, implementing, and evaluating strategic decisions across functional areas which help an organization to achieve its objectives. The major advantage of strategic management is to help organization to formulate better strategies by following a methodological, rational approach while making strategic choice. The strategic management practices may help a company yielding financial benefits as well as the non-financial benefits.